Wezolo Akwaba Obake. Good morning to you and welcome to the Koko Digest Morning Show right here on Clock TV. We are coming to you live from the studios here within the Ministerial Enclave. We are also live on Go TV channel 184. I am your host, Kojo Insia. And if you are about to leave the comfort of your home, don't worry at all because we've got you covered. All you need is your laptop, phone or tablet. And get connected to the internet because we are streaming live on our various social media platforms, Facebook and then on YouTube. All you have to do is log on to your YouTube or Facebook page and type Koko Digest Morning Show and you can find us there. You can engage us with your thoughts, your suggestion and everything concerning what we'll be discussing today. And about what we'll be discussing today, we have a lineup of interesting conversations for you, from lifestyle to entertainment to sports to business. We've got you covered. With sports, Nana Yao Asari will be talking about, the Premier League. And also, do you know that recently the Black Queens won a cup? And also as part of the World Cup preparation, the Black Stars will be also having some friendly matches. Nana Yao Asari will be giving us details about that. And then when we talk about business will be talking about, what an economist said about the ongoing US, Iran, and Israel war. The economist says if the war persists, it could disrupt economic stability. We'll be talking about how it is going to disrupt economic stability. Is it because we export or import more oil? And then on the lifestyle segment as well, yesterday was the International Women's Day. Na Ajibia and her guest will be talking to us more about women empowerment, women achievement, and everything about the International Day. And then when it comes to the online and print paper review, as usual, we have interesting content for you. We started something peculiar on this segment when we started the Ghana Month. It's about, talking about astute and visionary women who actually contributed their quota or help in the development of Ghana. Yet, we hardly hear of them. We started it by, learning about the woman on the 50 pesos coin, Na Ashikisha. We were able to also learn about Efua Switzerland, the woman the first ever woman to be enlisted into the Ghana Police Service, Adjoa Bayo, and many others. Today, too, we'll continue with it. And then also we'll be talking about clock sack strike, which actually started yesterday. We'll be gauging the intensity of the strike. And so we have reports across all the country. We are going to find out how it is disrupting, government business. And also, to crown it all, we will be talking about the Constitutional Review Committee's report, their final report, and an aspect of it which is proposing that the Controller and Accountant General's Department be made independent. We'll be talking about that. Clocksack also has released a report. They vehemently disagree with that. And Nana Yao Asari will be taking us through the report, what Clocksack is saying and what the Constitutional Review Committee is saying. And so you don't have any reason to, go away. Stay glued, stay connected to us right here on Clock TV. And as usual, I'm not doing this alone. My co-hosts are right here with me. So let me start introducing my co-host. I have with me Nana Yao Asari. Nana, good morning to you.
Morning.
I also have with me Na Ajibia. I hope I got the name right.
It's a J-Bia.
Na Ajibia.
Clock it.
That's right. And so today, the three of us will be steering the affairs of, today's morning show. And so let me take your initial. Last week when we were here, we were talking about the excitement about the 69th Independence Day celebration. I want to find out what you gathered during and after the 69th Independence Day celebration.
Well, Peter, I was so excited, especially for the fact that we Ghanaians have accepted that, March is our month, okay? Set March is our day. Let me see, our day. Is it those times back in secondary school, okay, back in JHS and primary school, where if you've done all the academic work and at the end of, the semester, at the end of your whole month, that's the day that you feel like, oh, our day me, I was saying me Jimmy, do you get it? That kind of feeling. That was the kind of, excitement I felt during, the set match. And the fact that people have, accepted that this is our match, okay? This is a time for us to, be proud of our heritage, our rich culture and everything. So basically, it has made us known, or get the vibe that this is our man. So exactly. That's what
this is our man.
Yeah.
So, and Nana, what did you also gather?
Yes, so I'm going to talk about President John Dramani Mahama's remarks from the 69th Independence Day Parade and then the celebration. And in his national address, what I've put down here is key themes on what he discussed or what his message was on about. He talked about national unity. He mentioned verbatim, Ghana is bigger than Ghana is bigger than any personal interest. Ghana is bigger than any political party. Ghana is bigger than any tribe. So we should place our country above tribe, above personal interest, stating that Ghana is bigger than any one of us. He also emphasized true patriotism, being true patriots. And he also talked about accountability and integrity. Exactly. He reaffirmed his commitment to ethical leadership, pledging to serve with integrity and humility. He stressed that freedom demands responsibility and called for re-establishing discipline amongst and managing public resources. He also talked about economic responsibility. He talked about reducing government expenditure during the economic crisis. He talked about suspending the rotational policy and of holding Independence Day celebrations in different regions because financially it is not feasible for us at this particular point in time. Exactly. So when we gather our loins and we are able to put things together, then we'll be able to maybe work on that particular or go on that particular tangent again. He talked about historical justice and he mentioned that I put the historical justice because he mentioned that he'll be putting before the United Nations National Assembly a petition to call slave trade the most cruel crimes against humanity. Exactly. So that's also something that he pledged to do for not just for Ghana but for the whole of Africa. Exactly. He also called for peace in Boku, and then also immediately after he finished, President John Dramani Mahama, you would think that he would be tired, but then he took a tour to the Volta region to look at the areas that were affected by the high tidal waves, and then the areas that were destroyed. And he looked at the part of the budget, the 2025 budget that was allocated to them, and was making sure that everything is allocated to them. So indeed, the what I can pick from it is just from the earlier statements that I made. Exactly. Ghana is bigger than every personal interest. Ghana is bigger than every political party. Ghana is bigger than any tribal sentiment as well. So let's all be one and then build a better Ghana. All
right, let's all be one and build a better Ghana. I also picked out some few, things. I mean, during the celebration, I was taking note about the kids who came to, perform. Yeah. I mean, it was so beautiful, the kind of things they said. I mean, I think you can remember some of the things, and the one that actually stuck with me was Omampenyi Hisense. I mean, it was the talk of the town. I don't know what you think about that as though. And so, as you can see today, we are all clad in fugu. I don't know, when you see fugu, what comes in mind? I mean, for me, this is my first time wearing fugu, and I'm loving it. I like how I feel right now. I don't know, what about you? Is it your first time?
I don't know, but I feel big. I feel big. I don't know about you guys, but I feel big, yeah.
All right. And so, without much ado, it is time, as I would like to, mimic you, it's time for our daily motivational dose. We have to take our motivation. Stay with us. Yes, and it's now time for the motivational quote of the day. We need to be motivated to be able to, accept what is coming. And so today's quote is by our very own Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. And the quote, he says, "The forces that unite us are greater than the superimposed influences that keep us apart." Let me repeat it again. The forces that unite us are greater than the superimposed influences that keep us apart. Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, and there it is on your screen. And so, Nana, what exactly do you think about this quote? The forces that unite us are greater than the superimposed influences that keep us apart.
So this is sort of reaffirming what President John Dramani Mahama re-echoed to us, or if I could say echoed to us on the 69th Independence Day parade. Or he says that the forces that keep us united are greater than the superimposed ones that keep us apart. So now this is talking about let's just talk about some forces that keep us apart. Okay. Tribal sentiments, political party divide, personal interest. Now the forces that keep us together as Ghanaians, that unite us to be one, that unite us to fight for freedom and justice. That when we recite the pledge, the words in there, that the ones that keep us spirited and as Ghanaians. Through the blood and toil of our fathers, some of these words that we've pledged ourselves in all things to protect and defend the good name of Ghana, and we're asking for God's help. Some of these things, that particular one alone is greater than any other tribal sentiments that we have around, any other political divide that we may have around. Because Ghana is not for any other person, Ghana is for us all. So, Let's build a better Ghana. So the forces that unite us are stronger. And I can even add better than the superimposed influences that divide us.
Exactly. Right. And that is Nanayao Asarede. Beverly, sorry, Najibia.
Najibia, yeah. Clock it. Yes. So I will relate it to like the basic institution in the community, which is the family. Even with families, even between siblings, even between our parents, they have misunderstandings. They have their time where they are apart. But when it comes to, the time where they have to unite, they all come together and then stand together. That is the spirit Kwame Nkrumah is trying to put across, that, yes, as a country, we might face, some kind of misunderstandings, war, conflict, and what have you. But when it comes for the time for us to come together as a nation, we should be able to stand together regardless of any situation.
We should be able to stand together regardless of any situation. Now, I have the extended version of it here, and this says, this quote highlights the idea that people often have more in common than the differences that divide them. And Nkrumah believed that divisions such as ethnicity, politics, or colonial boundaries were often imposed from outside and should not overshadow shared identity and purpose. In the context of Ghana and Africa, he was encouraging unity and cooperation, reminding citizens that national progress and continental development depend on focusing on shared goals rather than differences. I hope you are motivated today. And then, we just have to come together as one people, irrespective of our differences, one people, one country, and let's fight together for a better Ghana. And so it's now time for, the weather forecast. After you are being motivated, we have to look at how the weather is going to be like in Ghana. Let's take a look at weather forecast today. And what you're seeing on the screen is the 24-hour impact-based forecast for Ghana. And this is from the Ghana Meteorological Agency. And this says that partly cloudy conditions will predominate across most parts of the country during the morning hours, with patches of mist or fog likely to develop in some areas, particularly in the early hours. During the afternoon, conditions will transition into generally sunny periods with intermittent cloud cover, resulting in intensified heat over some locations. Localized thunderstorms accompanied by rain are anticipated to develop over parts of the inland areas of the coast, middle and transition sectors from the late afternoon into the evening, while slightly hazy conditions will continue to prevail over the upper regions of the northern sector. And say the specifics. So this morning, Aflao, Accra, Kaswa, Cape Coast. This morning, they're experiencing partly cloudy weather, where the temperature, ranging around 26 degrees Celsius. And as the day progresses, Aflao, Accra, Kaswa, Cape Coast would experience sunny periods with a temperature of 34 degrees Celsius, and the same weather as well in the evening. It's going to be partly cloudy in the evening. And then this morning, when you take a look at Takoradi Exim Ho, Koforidia, Akimoda, Kumasi, it is going to be partly cloudy and the misty condition will dominate in these areas. And then as the day progresses in the afternoon, there's a 30% of, thunderstorms, the 30% of showers in these areas, Exim Ho, Koforidia, Akimoda, and Kumasi. And then as the day progresses in the evening as well, they'll still experience that same weather. And this time around is 40% probability of rain in this area. And then when you go to the middle belt, Kitikrachi, Kintampongoso, Sunyan, Techima, Yendi, this afternoon, this morning, they are experiencing a partly weather condition, and some aspects are also experiencing a misty weather condition. And in the afternoon, it is going to be sunny. They are going to experience sunny periods. And then in the evening, they should also expect some showers, 40% chances of rain. And then the northern sector, this afternoon, Yendi, Tamale, and Bole, Damango are experiencing partly cloudy weather. And then as the day progresses into the evening, it is going to be very, very hot, with the temperature ranging from 37 degrees Celsius to 39 degrees Celsius. And as always, GMED is advising people there to reduce their exposure to the sun. And then as the day progresses into the evening, they should expect a partly cloudy weather. But for Bolegatanga, Nererigu, and Wa, the weather condition is slightly hazy throughout the morning, afternoon, and evening. For the state of the sea, it is going to be rough. And then, as we're celebrating Ghana Man Tuesdays, people do not actually go to sea. And so
in the coastal areas.
In the coastal area. But then the state of the sea today is very rough. And then that is all for you on today's weather forecast. It's now time for the most interesting part, the weather of the day. The word of the day. Sorry, the word of the day, the most interesting part. Anytime I just hear of the word of the day, it reminds me way back primary school, where whenever you are given an English paper, you see, choose from the alternative letter A to C, the one that most suits.
Yes.
These days, I don't know whether that's what we are saying.
So me, when word of the day comes, what I'm actually thinking about, or when my mind drives back to, is this dictation that we used to have in school.
Okay, early morning.
So early morning, you get to school. So because of that, for some reason, early in the mornings, I was not well. I was not well in school.
Interesting.
So you can come and then think that you are going to meet me in class, and then if you're a teacher, you've meant me, you are going to meet me in class.
Your teachers are watching you.
Yes, right now they cannot come and do me dictation again. Anyway, so you realize that by the time you get to class, Nanaya is not there. He's in the sick bay, or he's actually doing something else. So that was how I avoided dictation. But the inevitable times that I had shown that I was strong. Probably played football the day before, and then the following morning I've reported to school, and then my teachers have seen that I'm in high spirits. When the dictation comes, you can't avoid it.
Exactly.
So we've all received the cane from dictation before.
Wow.
Yes, especially I remember the first word that I was told to spell, and I received the cane form. I was just there, and the teacher just came. Your word is phlegm, spell phlegm. He was giving everybody normal words to spell. When it got to me, so for me, thinking that I was confident enough, I started with the PH. The teacher didn't beat me, so I thought that was it. So then I started I went on L, E, M. Before I realized, oh my God. The phlegm, that's that till now I can't spell phlegm wrongly, because it is PHLEGM, but a lot of people don't actually know that. So that was in class 4, second term, until now.
That's a very long time ago.
I remember. I can even quote the date for you because the king. I still remember it.
Wow.
Yes, but that was how we used to learn in those days. Nowadays, you don't see teachers lashing kids on dictation and all that again. But it's quite a good one. So.
Najib, do you have something to share? And I know most of you were like Nanaya back in the days. And so as the show progresses, our phone lines will be activated. Our WhatsApp number will be displayed on your screen so that you can engage us with your thought. And then if you were like Nanaya back in the days, do not hesitate to tell us, Nigeria, do you have something to, also share with us, or we should just move on?
Oh, let's move on. Yeah.
All right. So today, I'm also going to put you on the spot.
Right.
I'm just going to read what I have, and then tell me what word
it is.
It is.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I'll try.
Yes.
I'll try.
And so, dash is the ability to recover quickly from difficulties and continue moving forward despite challenges. The ability to recover quickly from difficulties and continue moving forward despite challenges. Everywhere in school by this time, we need a magic to
The ability.
Are you talking about resilience?
Exactly.
Resilience is the word.
Resilience is the word.
Okay.
I got
Resilience,
it. Clock
Resilience
it. Clock it for me.
So this is the second time we are using resilience as the word of the day. So
Exactly.
I was thinking, I can even give you the history of the word.
Exactly.
That it came from Latin expressions called resileri in the 14th and 15th century, around that particular time. So you can actually find that, and you know that she has given the word, but I am actually taking you back to the origins of resilience. So resilience back in the 14th century. So usually then it was now taken into baseball terms somewhere in the 18th century in America. So it was used to mean to bounce back. So immediately they throw the ball, and then the ball hits the bat and it bounces back. So then that was when it came into American English, when we said resiliere. And then now that was how come America then coined it into their own words, as in to bounce back. And so that was when the word started getting its infraction and interaction into modern English, where we have what we call resilience, which means to bounce back after sudden disappointment, or to bounce back from other circumstances. So.
Thank you very much. Today I'm going to spare you. I'm not going to tell you to form a sentence.
I was ready.
You were ready.
I was ready.
We'll continue on the online segment.
Definitely.
That's why I know you've learned something. Resilience, and that's all for the motivational quote, GMET, and the word of the day. Up next is the online and print paper review. Please stay with us. If you are just tuning in, you're watching the Koko Digest Morning Show right here on Clock TV. We're also live on GoTV channel 184. We're also streaming live on our various social media platforms, Facebook and on YouTube. You can engage us with your comments, your questions, and everything relating to the topic we will be discussing today. And before I move on to what we have on the online and print paper review, as you saw earlier, we are all clad in beautiful fugu, and I would like to acknowledge our sponsor, Amal Smokes. Amal Smokes actually sponsored the fugu you're seeing today on your screen, and you can find him or you can contact him via the telephone number 054-644-0830. 054-644-0830. You can contact him and get one at an affordable price. It's very quality and authentic. It's now time for the online and print paper review. As I stated earlier, we started something peculiar on the show for this Ghana month, and that is talking about the unsung, astute, and visionary women who actually paid their quota to the development of Ghana. But we often do not hear of their stories. Today, we have about 2 or 3 astute women as well that we'll be going to talk about. And I'm joined by my co-host, Nana Yao Asari and Na Ajibia. You're right here. They are poised and ready for the conversation. So, ladies and gentlemen, who is going first?
I'll be a gentleman, as you always say. Ladies first. So,
Okay, Peter. So this morning, I would like to tell the story of, one of Ghana's, prominent leaders when it comes to somebody who took her time to design a Ghana national flag. What we see beautifully, being displayed everywhere we pass through the country now. We are going to be talking about Madame Theodosia Koko, and I'm going to give a little background about her and how she developed the Ghana national flag. So, Madame Theodosia Koko was born on 13th of June, 1922 in Ifiduase in the Ashanti region of Ghana, then Gold Coast. She came from an educated and influential family. Her father, Emmanuel Victor Asehene, was a respected teacher and a Presbyterian minister who valued education and discipline. So growing up in such an environment, Theodosia developed a very strong interest in education because of her parents, background and all of that, and also creativity and national service as well. So when it comes to her educational background, she attended the ever-known, Achimota School, known for producing some of Ghana's most influential leaders and intellectuals. So while there, she developed her artistic skills and interest in drawing and design, talent, and later became historical, significant. Most of the creatives we see nowadays started right from, when they were little. Yeah. I feel like people are born, with the art. If you are born as a creative, you tend to, develop some kind of love and affection for whatever you do. So in designing the Ghana flag in the year 1957, when Ghana was approaching independence from the British colonial rule, the government under Kwame Nkrumah organized a national competition to design the flag for a new. So Madam Theodosia Koko submitted a design that was eventually chosen. I'm just imagining her feeling when she was picked. Very interesting one. So she submitted a design that, later got chosen as the official national flag of Ghana when the country gained the independence on the 6th of March, 1957. So her design included, 4 powerful symbols we know today, which is the red, the gold, most people say yellow, the gold, the green, and of course the black. So as you all know, the red stands for, the blood our forefathers shed during their fight for freedom. During the for independence. Now, the gold also represents the country's rich cultural heritage, or the rich minerals they have, gold and the rest. So the green also symbolizes the Ghana's forest and agricultural wealth in terms of our farm produce and everything that we we grow. So, and the Black Stars also stands for the symbol of African freedom. So it was like she was very intentional, not only Ghana, but she was also thinking about Africa as a whole. That should tell you the kind of leader she was. So, yeah, today the Black Star has become one of, a global symbol associated with Ghana identity and Pan-African. We have come to a stage where when you talk about, Pan-African, you cannot even leave Ghana out. Why? Exactly. Because, we have taken over. When you mention Africa, and we are mentioning some of the top countries, I'm very proud that, Ghana comes up. So now we are going to look at some of the recognitions of Madame Tudor Selko. So one remarkable part of her story is that she was not financially compensated for designing the national flag. Wow. So she did it willingly. Out of her own will. Out of her own will. That should tell you the kind of love she has for the country. And after doing that, right now, she has gained that kind of credits. But personally, I don't think she has been given that kind of credit that we have to give to her. And that is the more reason why today on the Koko Digest Morning Show, we've taken it upon ourselves to actually preach what some of these women actually did to support the development of the country. And then we had her on our screen. And so, she did not also, just to add up, she was also, a pioneer in hockey development in Ghana. Yeah,
I was just about to touch on that when she finished. A lot of people know that Ghana, the hockey stadium just behind the Tama station, is called the Theodore Oko hockey stadium. But not a lot of people know its significance. Exactly. Because at a time where Ghanaian hockey was led by some men, and some men at the time, the sports ministry or the head of sports was Ohenijan at the time. Now, hockey was one of Ghana's sports because it was passed on through our colonial masters, and then now we received it, and then we were also being trained and all that. But right after independence, we realized that the men that were in charge of hockey were all faltering. They were not delivering. And Ghana needed to qualify for the first Hockey World Cup, World Championship that we needed someone to actually do that. And her husband at the time, was Kwabna Oko. He was the head of the Ghana Civil Service at the time. Kwabna Oko, just remember the name. He was the head of the Ghana Civil Service in the Kwame Nkrumah regime. So just in and around 1960s, he was the head of Ghana Civil Service. My wife was pioneering hockey training and development in the communities. Let us transcend that to the national scale. And then she was given the nod. And once she was given the nod, Ghana attained its first World Cup qualification in terms of hockey. You think that would be enough? Ghana also attained the first Olympic qualification when it comes to hockey. And Ghana performed exceptionally well in those competitions. So because of that, men had tried to make sure that hockey in Ghana will be after our colonial masters passed on, before we even became a republic, would be how do you call it? Would be something to write home about, if I can put it that way. But they tried, nothing was working, and then Tudor Oko was asked that go and head the hockey association and federation, and then she went there. Ghana qualified for that. So because of that, even Ohenijan, if you remember the famous Ohenijan, who was the head of Ghanaian sports at the time, said she is the Joan of Arc. If you know the story of Joan of Arc of Ghana hockey, because she rose to the occasion to save Ghanaian hockey when men were faltering and facilitating about development of the game. So this is the reason why the National Hockey Stadium is also named after her. So that is Theodosia Oko. So unfortunately, she passed on. I mean, these people cannot live forever. She passed on at age 92 in 2015. That is, and at the time when she was alive, when the hockey stadium was actually put in place, and President John Evans Atta Mills was going to name it after her in around 2009, 2010. She said, no, let us name it after John Evans Atta Mills. Let it be the John Evans Atta Mills Hockey Stadium, because John Evans Atta Mills has also contributed immensely to hockey development. And so that was what she even said when she was alive. But after 2015, when she passed on, after some time and after some deliberations, before she passed on, I should say, she herself agreed that, I've done something for Ghana sports, so I can accept this thing being bestowed on me. Excellent. And that was how she accepted, and then Ghana's finest hockey pitch is called the Theodosia Okun Hockey Stadium.
Interesting.
So that's it about her.
That is a deep revelation over there. Most people can attest to the fact that, most people do not know, this woman, and that is why we've taken it upon ourselves. You can engage us via our WhatsApp number that will be displayed on your screen shortly, and you can still engage us on our various social media handles. Then, if you have something to say about Madame Theodosia Okun, the brain behind the beautiful national flag, as my colleagues have actually, explained. And then we still have one more, unsung, astute woman to talk about.
Two more, actually. Yes. So the first one, I'm sure when you hold a tin of palm nuts, the palm nut tin, the palm nut, processed palm nuts, the tin of it, okay. You know what it's called?
No. Palm nuts.
Haven't you heard Nkulenu?
Yes. That's a brand.
That is a brand.
Okay.
And the brand came after a human being.
Oh.
So the brand is the name of the person is Nkulenu. Esther Ifwa Nkulenu. So she is the first person to have ever set.
So before you go, is it the Nkulenu we all know?
It's the Nkulenu we all know. The Nkulenu industry.
Wow.
So Esther Ifwa Okulu. That was what she was called after she got married.
Right.
But before she got married, she was called Esther Ifwa Nkulenu. She was born in and around Peki. That's in the Volta region, or those of you who would know. She was a Ghanaian businesswoman. And apart from that, people think Nkulenu is the only thing that she did. But before even Nkulenu, what she was pioneering was, Ghanaian traders did not have a lot of money to purchase things and sell in bulk and buy things in bulk. So this woman came and she started microcredit in Ghana. So she is the person who started lending money, not huge amounts of money, because the women, when they go to banks and they say that we want to get a loan for the banks, the banks do not take them serious, because the amounts that they are asking for, they will be overly exploited, even if the bank is to charge interest rates on them. So this woman found affordable credit facilities for Ghanaian market women, and she is the pioneer of microcredit. That is small money lending. That when you are going to the bank, you are going to lend money like 300 cedis, 400 cedis, 500 cedis at this particular time. You may not be given the face, but this woman started it so that if you sell oranges, you can actually get that small amount of money, go and buy the oranges, sell it off, and come and pay back your loan. So she's the pioneer of that particular thing. Let me talk about her. She was also co-founder of Women's Banking in 1976 with Michaela Walsh and Ella Bat. That one we'll just put it aside. So Esther Ifwa Nkulenu was born in the Volta region of Ghana. By then it was called the British Togoland. To George Nkulenu, a blacksmith, and his wife Georgina, a porter and farmer, both of Ewe people. Her grandmother was the one who sent her to school. So she sent her to school, and somewhere in around 1936 to 1941, she was taken to Achimota School. Achimota, once again, they deserve their flowers. Because they have actually done a lot of, when it comes to women development, you realize that almost all these women find their roots to Achimota, and then they were taught leadership and excellence over there. So in 1936 to 1941, she obtained the Cambridge certificate. In 1943, including using a small financial gift from her aunt once again, and skills acquired at Achimota, began selling marmalade in Accra. So when we talk about marmalade, we talk about, because we're so much, the British breakfast, they do not have it without marmalade. Marmalade, some people call it jam in Ghana. So that's what we in Accra. And decided to pursue further work in the food industry. She secured a contract to supply Achimota School orange juice. So that was her first contract. After leaving Achimota, securing a Cambridge certificate, she went back to supply them with orange juice. That was when she started gathering capital to what she wanted to do. And then after that, the oranges, once again, Achimota deserves their flowers. The oranges that she was giving them or turning to orange juice were produced and grown in Achimota school itself. So she would go and harvest them, cultivate the oranges, and then transform them to juice. So she started processing and bringing final products. Now we'll talk about the quality of meals that people were served then. Exactly. If students were getting fresh orange juices in 1960, 61, 62, or 1942, 43, then you should actually think, why is it that the case is somewhat different? Why is it that school feeding now, when life is lived to be better, is changing? Well, we'll talk about that. After getting after also doing or performing very, very well in that particular front, then she was later on given another contract to supply food, to provide juice and other food to the Royal West African Frontier Force. So when we talk about the Royal West African Frontier Force, the British, when they were in Ghana, or when they were in West Africa, you know, they colonized Sierra Leone, they colonized Nigeria, they colonized Ghana, they colonized Liberia, or they had their infractions in Liberia. Liberia wasn't colonized. So what happened was that they wanted to form a defensive front to fight against anyone that came to infiltrate the countries that they were colonizing. So they set up a multi-battalion. When we say multi-battalion, battalions from different countries, and then put them together as a force, and they were based in Ghana. So that was the Royal West African Frontier Force. So she was the one who was supplying them with juice, fresh juices, and then fruits. So lacking the resources to own her, to fulfill her own obligations, she took a loan from a bank and established Nkulenu Industries. So once again, Nkulenu Industries is what we are talking about. This woman, Madame Esther Oklu, she established Nkulenu, which was the first. So this woman on your screen here is the one who established the first food processing factory in the Gold Coast. The first food processing factory. So without her, we had not seen food being processed like that. We were taking cans and tins and all that from other countries and then bringing them there, exporting. But she said, no, we even grow the fresher fruits here. So why don't we squeeze them? And then so from that, then she started the Nkulenu, how to process palm nuts. And since Gold Coast time, we still see Nkulenu, and it's still there.
Not to even cut you short. The question we have to ask ourselves is that is Nkulenu Industries still the same since the 1940s, like till now? Are we continuing the legacy? What changes have been made to this industry? Are we leaving the legacy just like that? Because when we talk about independence, we cannot talk about independence without economic independence. And these were some of the foundations laid down by our forefathers, you know, aspiring to gain independence. But then we tend to think about political freedom as the only way to gain independence without talking about economic independence. And like you said, it begs the question, even if in the 40s, people were enjoying, you know, sumptuous meal and all of that. 69 years down the line, let's say 70 years down the line, what are we seeing currently? And you continue and then we talk about it.
Well, Peter, that question, I'm sure we'll leave it to our listeners and viewers to actually text us. What are we doing actually presently to better what has been established, like the likes of the Nkulenu Industries? So I'm sure the WhatsApp numbers will be displayed on your screen so you can share it with us. So after doing that, later on in 1949 to 1951, after establishing Nkulenu Industries, Achimota School then once again helped her, gave her funding to go to the United Kingdom, to go and then better her education, or she's established food processing factories. But then there's no formal education to back what she can do. So Achimota sponsored her to do that. And after getting that, she was sponsored by Achimota to England 1949 to 1951. She was the first person of African ancestry. That's the first African to obtain a cooking diploma from Good Housekeeping Institute in London. Good Housekeeping Institute, if you Google them, you realize that they are the pioneers of food safety and food storage, food processing in the whole world. They are one of the pioneers, and she was the first African to get a diploma in that course at Long Ashton Research Station, the Department of Horticulture at Bristol University. So now, Oklu worked at expanding her business. That is the same in Kulenu. She traveled to England in 1956 to develop recipes for commercial canning to overcome prejudice in Ghana against locally produced goods. So now this woman once again came back and realized that now there was some sort of stigma against made in Ghana goods, which now we are still facing.
Yeah.
So she was the first woman to actually say that let us come together and make a fair and exhibit made in Ghana produces. So she started the first exhibition of made in Ghana produce, which now we actually see some other stations and all that doing cultural fairs and all that. She was the pioneer
even
of
the
that particular one.
Finance made in the Ghana Bazaar.
Yes. Ministry of Food and Agriculture also doing the same. So she was the first person to do that. And because of that, in 1964, even when Kwame Nkrumah was no longer the president and all that, she was asked to be the executive chairman. The woman was the first chairman for the Ghana Food and Nutrition Council. So these are just a few things. And she wasn't lazy; she was hardworking. After conquering the food space, she then went into the tie and dye industry to venture into clothing
creativity.
As well. This same woman, and so because of that, she worked on the national and international level of economic empowerment of women. She was appointed advisor of Council of Women, and year after year, month after month. Regime after regime, even when Dr. Helen Liman's regime came, she was even asked to serve as the council of on the Council of State in the Third Republic of Ghana. So this should tell you that this particular woman, she's no what she has achieved. It needs to be propelled and talked about more and more and more and more. She was an advisor to the First World Conference on women in Mexico in 1975. She promoted the availability of credit to women. That's what we actually said. So small loans, which started in 1975. She was the one who said, now, you know what, the banks will not absorb those small loans. So I'll come and take the credits from the banks and then I'll distribute them into smaller units to you. For instance, Nigeria wants to sell tomatoes at Kantamanto. She would need 700 cedis. She cannot go to the bank for it. She come to me, and then I'll give her that particular microcredit facility. Exactly. So these and many more. I'm sure if you have to talk about Madam Efua Oklu, or Madam Inkulenu,
I think we'll go by Madam Inkulenu. I think we've learned a lot. Madam
even away from that, you think that she's so busy, she cannot even think about religious activities. But when you go to Medina and you look at the Evangelical Presby Church, the EP Church in Medina, she was one of the people who founded that particular church. So the Evangelical Presby Church in Medina, she was one of the pioneers of that church. To date, when you go there and you mention her name in Kulenu, you realize that the name carries weight in that particular church. She was one of the founding mothers, if I can say, of that particular church.
On the note on Madam Nkulenu, so currently we've learnt about Nkulenu Industries, and then Todoshia Oko, the brain behind the Ghana national flag, the beautiful Ghana national flag. I know these are astute women actually also contributed a whole lot to the development of the country. And that's why we've taken it upon ourselves to let you know some of these achievements.
It's not the last one, or for time? Yes,
we will talk about it. We'll just touch on it briefly. Okay. But you can also engage us with your thought via our WhatsApp number on 050-050-421, 050-050-0421. And I'll let you when our phone lines are activated. And so we still have one more to go, one last, unsung or unspoken, astute woman. And would you like to take that? Or?
Yes, so her name is none other than Susanna Al-Hassan. Susanna Al-Hassan. She was born as Susanna Henkel. She was born in the northern part of Ghana. And then she was a Ghanaian author who in 1961 became Ghana's first woman to be appointed minister. Remember that we talked last week about Mabel Dovdankwa, and we said she was the first woman to be appointed or to be voted MP, Member of Parliament, for the Accra rural area. That's in the 1959-1960 that is elections. She was voted as the first woman MP. Now, this particular woman was born 27 November 1927, and she passed on. She was called to glory in 17 January 1997. Even in 2007, 10 years after her death, President John Kufuor also commemorated her and gave her one of the biggest commemorations that you could ever get as a woman in Ghana. So now, she was born in Tamale to William Henkel and Hajia Memuna Giwa, and she was educated once again at Achimota School. So a round of applause for Achimota School. Achimota was on a mission by then to capture all women from all walks of life in Ghana and bring them to a central point where they can be educated and giving them the much needed skills in leadership. So that was him. And then I'm sure if you remember GTV News anchor Selma Ramatu. Yes, if you remember her, that's her mother. So Susanna Hassan was her mother. And then also she was a beneficiary of the 1960 Representation of People, that's Women's Bill. So there was a bill in 1960 that said that women need to be represented in government. So it was all men at the time. So she, in the northern region, she was unopposed, and then she went as a woman over there and represented for them as the minister of the northern region. So that was it. So she was the deputy minister for education as well for Kwame Nkrumah's Republican government in 1963 to 1966, and again in 1967 she was the minister for social affairs. Between that period in 1965, Nkrumah appointed her as Minister of Social Welfare and Community Development. Once again, this woman has won so many caps on the fight against prostitution, because around that time, there was a fight against prostitution in northern parts of Ghana, because the development was, although they were trying to decentralize development, but it was then also centralized where the seat of government was, and wasn't spread to the vast land size of the northern parts of Ghana. So there was women over there at the time saw that what they could actually do to survive, because lack of education had not also spread across to those regions. They took a liking to some social vices like prostitution. So one of these particular reasons was why she was elected there, and then she was on the fight against prostitution in northern Ghana in the 1960s. The CP government engaged in mass education, and she was the one who spearheaded all those things. And she emphasized that the association of prostitution was a social evil, an enemy, and a crusade, and amongst the aged and illiterate population. So Al-Hassan asserted that the problem rather lay the soaring rate of depravity and lewdness. So depravity, that's the lack of social resources, amenities, and all that. And lewdness too is to the fact that some men are just not. They have no shame to put it that way. That's what the word actually means. If I can say that, to engage in such acts, and so she was one of the women who helped fight and combat it. Now, when you go there, when you go to the northern parts of Ghana, the women there hold themselves in very much high esteem, and then you do not have prostitution and all these vices on the rise. So because of time, I'll just touch on this a little bit. And she died on 17 January 1997, and in 2007 she was commemorated on the 50th anniversary stamp by former President John Agyekum Kufuor 10 years after her death. Wow. So
interesting. And then this brings to the fact that, you see, there's always a saying that the woman's place is in the kitchen. And then when you talk about it, they refer you to the olden days. Now, they talk about the 1930s, the 1940s. But here are women during that time who actually contributed significantly to the development of the country. And so, I mean, there's no doubt that this time around, women are standing up for women empowerment and whatever. Exactly. And I know, Najibia, you'll be talking more about that on your segment as well. And so it has been an educative segment right here. And then we've spoken about three astute women, the Theodora Oko, the woman behind the beautiful, the Ghana national flag. And we've spoken about the Nkulenu Industries, the brains behind the Nkulenu Industries. And currently the first ever minister, a woman who became a minister under President, the then President, former President, Kwame Nkrumah's, regime. It's now time. Let's move on to our topic of the day. You know, ClockSAC declared strike, a nationwide strike yesterday, and the strike is in full effect. And so, in order to make you understand the reason why they are on strike and why it is still in full effect, I would like to read something here, and afterwards, my co-host will give us more details about it. And so, members of the Civil and Local Government Staff Association Ghana have embarked on the nationwide strike, which actually began yesterday, the 9th of March 2026, significantly disrupting operations across public offices and local government institutions. Reports from several regions indicate strong participation by workers, leading to the closure of many government service offices. The industrial action follows a directive issued on March 5, in which the association accused government of continuous delays in implementing a new salary structure and improving conditions of service. The executive secretary of ClockSAC, Dr. Isaac Bampo-Addo, stated that discussions on the proposed salary structure began in 2019 and resulted in 2 memoranda of understanding with government representatives. He noted that despite several letters sent to the Ministry of Labour, Jobs and Employment and the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission requesting prompt action, the association has yet to receive a satisfactory response. Meanwhile, the National Labour Commission has declared the strike illegal and has invited ClockSAC to a meeting scheduled for March 11, 2026 at exactly 2:00 p.m. in an attempt to resolve the impasse. Then yesterday, ClockSAC had an engagement with NLC, and I don't know if you can share with us the outcome of that engagement.
So now, if you want to tackle an issue, you tackle it. If you want to kill a snake, you kill it from the head. Now, in 2019, ClockSAC and its representatives met with NLC, met with the Ministry of Employment and Labour Relations. By then, the minister was Honorable Bafwewa.
Yeah. Nana, please kindly put a pin to that. Let's watch the video from ClockSAC strike.
The issue remained unresolved, and as a result, all staff of the civil service and local government service are required to stay at home with effect from Monday, 9th March 2026 until further notice. At the vetting of the Minister for Employment, this issue came up. He was asked this question, and he answered they were going to negotiate. In 2023, after we had our discussions with government, Ken Oforiatta gave this salary structure to our members at Ministry of Finance. So as we speak now, some members of the civil service are enjoying the salary structure. So what is it, apartheid system of salary administration or what? We fought for this thing. We do the salary structure. We had discussions with government represented by the Honorable Osafo Mafu. He headed government team. And after we had finished, we'll give it to some category of civil servants. It's not right. We've indicated to government that we've given it to some civil servants. And the last meeting, we've indicated to fair wages. We are aware some civil servants are enjoying this salary structure that you are claiming you don't know anything about. How come? But we negotiated for it. So all civil servants must enjoy it. And that's it. It's only fair. So we are all doing the same work. Why should some be any better?
And so, as you heard from the executive secretary of ClockSAC, it's all about the conditions of service and some, salary structure. So, Nana, you were on the floor.
Yes. So I was talking about the genesis of the issue. If you want to kill an issue, you tackle it from its genesis or its inception. Now, realize that just before COVID reached its peak, the conditions of service of members of ClockSAC, being the policy formulators of government. Whenever there is a transition between two governments, political parties come and go, the political class come and go, but it's the civil service that stands in all this. In countries where transitions even keep long, it's the civil service that runs the country. Now let's look at the the conditions of service of these people who run the country in the absence of politicians, who run Ghana's industries, who run the agencies. Now, when you look at the conditions of service of them, there's nothing really much to write home about it. So Klokstad in 2019 said, now let's sit down. Let us negotiate something. Let us plan something that will bring dignity to the workers that work in Klokstad or for Klokstad. So that was the agreement. They sat down, negotiations here and there, and then it was agreed that, I don't want to mention numbers, but this is the percentage that we are going to add or include to your salary structure. We are going to start this on basis, smaller basis, so that we can then sort of amalgamate everything later on. So that was agreed in 2019. Honorable Bafwe signed the memorandum of understanding between the two parties during the negotiation. The National Labour Commission was then present in the negotiations. The minister, the Ministry of Employment and Labour, the Labour Department, all people that were concerned were in that particular sitting. But after that particular thing was done, then we move on. Then COVID strikes. COVID strikes, a government is tight on their purse. So now we need to sit back at home. And then this cannot be implemented. However, in 2022, when the effect of COVID started hitting hard, Klokstad once again said that, look at interest rates, look at inflation, look at, my workers are dying, they are suffering, so help me. And once again, remember that we signed this particular thing, let us bring it into force. And they said, okay, we'll work on it. In 2023, the Honorable Minister of Finance, they said the Ministry of Finance, the memorandum has been signed and understood.
Then
Ken Oforiatta then is now in force, and then let us now put things together to make sure that this is running. So now Honorable Ken Oforiatta and the Ministry of Finance now come in. And implementing this, they implement it for just the Ministry of Finance and then the staff of Ministry of Finance. And then the civil service, you know that is bigger than Ministry of Finance.
Exactly.
We have the Ministry of Information, we have the Ministry of Communication, we have the Ministry of Energy, we have the Ministry of Education. We have all these ministries are there and they work all hand in hand. Governments come and go, and then this ministry stands still. But because you are the one who controls the purse as the Minister of Finance and as the Minister of Finance, when you are rolling this thing out, you roll it out for just Ministry of Finance and you leave out all the other ministries. And the thing too is that you tell them not to make noise about it so that their colleagues will not know. But this is a salary administration. Everybody will hear about it.
And so basically that is where the agitation is coming from.
The agitation is coming from the fact that we are not, you heard him, we are not in an apartheid system where you divide and choose who you give allowances to. The employment grades in the civil service, employment or transitions in the civil service comes in grades. So maybe a degree holder enters from grade 16, and grade 16 in Ministry of Finance is the same grade as grade 16 in Ministry of Energy, the same grade 16 in Ministry of so as degree holders. That's where you are all entering from. If you are going to get some other allowances, fine, that's that. But the conditions of service that pertain to your qualification when you come, because today you can be in Ministry of Finance because you are doing bureaucratic work. You are not a you don't meddle with the political class.
Exactly.
So once you leave Ministry of Finance, tomorrow you can be transferred to Ministry of Energy. If you are transferred to Ministry of Energy or any other ministry, Office of the Head of Civil Service even, and then you are there from Ministry of Finance, and you look at your salary, and then your colleague is taking less than that. It is not fair, yet you are doing the same job.
Exactly.
So that is where the agitation is coming from. Why was it then effected for only the Ministry of Finance workers? If they've effected it for Ministry of Finance workers, it means that they had the idea. Let's take it as though that maybe the government at the time then was thinking that, okay, you know what, we are doing it as a case study. We have the idea, we are just bringing the data together. Klokstad says that we have data of all our members, over 60-something thousand members that we have. So now we have data of all of them that you can implement this on. And you shouldn't run this like an apartheid system where the government chooses its favorites to favor when the others. Imagine you knowing that someone working in Ministry of, in fact, the Ministry of Trade, which is close to Ministry of Finance, do the same work. You come, and then your conditions of service of your colleague in Ministry of Finances is better than you. And it's not fair. There's nothing to write on about.
Exactly, it's not fair. So let me come to you, Najib. You know, reports indicate that the strike action is being felt across the whole country, from the northern region to the Ahafo region. You know, they are on strike. All offices have been closed down. What do you think this can lead to? Can this lead to the disruption of government business? I mean, what actually are Ghanaians facing currently? For you to go to, let's say, the registry of birth and death, try to go and register, and only for you to get there and the place is locked. What do you think?
So, Peter, this issue is really, really sad, especially for the fact that, Clocksack has been, negotiating for this for, it's been so many years, exactly. Okay? And it's worrying because people come to work and then just imagine they come to work all the time, okay? They're worried that their conditions of service will be, looked at. But up to now, we haven't heard anything from them. And I'm hearing that the NLC, the National Labour Commission, has even said that the strike is illegal. And it's worrying. I have statistics which says that when you look at the labor disputes regulated by the Labour Act 2003, under this law, workers can strike, but certain procedures must be followed. So a strike may be considered illegal if the dispute has not gone through mediation or arbitration. The matter is already before the National Labour Commission. Workers do not give proper notice before striking. Workers strike while negotiations are still ongoing under the Commission's supervision. So what is keeping them? My question is, what is keeping them, from, implementing the issue?
Some of these things, I'm privy to some information that I can share exclusively on here. I know that Clocksag has been trying to meet with the minister, especially Honorable Pelpo, on this particular issue. And it's been back and forth, together with the Chief Director of the Ministry of Employment, Jobs and Labour. Now, what happened was there's been calls to you to come and sit at the table for us to hear, because you said that you're going to meet on this. That's the Honourable Minister of Employment, Jobs and Labour. Really. He mentioned that we are going to meet on this on Monday. Come Monday, Clocksack tries to reach you, your phone is nowhere to be found. We try to call you, you don't pick up. All efforts to negotiate and mediate with you just to hear our funds are not heeded to. Then what are you telling Labour to do? By all means, the response that Labour would give to you is because they have tried time and time again for you to come to the round table, to negotiate, to sit down. And this thing has been, when they are calling it illegal, I beg to differ, because the NLC cannot call this particular strike illegal, because the negotiations and mediations started way back in 2019. 2022.
That's a long time.
There were heated calls once again. 2023, there were heated calls, and then you promised to implement it, and you implemented it for just a few people. We've called you once again, come and let's sit down and let's run discussion and then let's talk about this particular thing. Before the budget was read, the Ministry of Finance came and then they promised that we are going to heed to this particular call. So now what is now stopping you from implementing it? It's as though worker cries are not being heeded to, and Labour often acts in this particular regard. So
for the fact that it was implemented for some group of people, it means that it is doable. And
it is doable.
Yes. Yeah. So report indicates that I think yesterday also Clocksack met NLC, but the meeting, the outcome of it wasn't all that fruitful. And so
yes. So once if the meeting, the outcome is fruitful, because right now what Clocksack says that what can make us come back to work is for you to tell us that Clocksack is saying that what can make us come back to work is for you to tell us that when we come in June, in February. Actually, did I say February? In April, in May, we are going to begin doing this thing. You give us a clear timeline, and then you just do that. And then you tell us whether the ones we have forfeited, that is the ones you pay the Ministry of Finance staff that you haven't paid us. What are we going to do about it? Are you going to surcharge it to us, or But these are some of the discussions that the CLOGSAG is actually waiting to hear feedback on from.
But for me, I think the most important thing here right now is dialogue, okay, between the stakeholders. Because if we are supposed to negotiate and then it's supposed to be implemented in so many years, like 4 years or 5 years ago, 2019, it's not yet done, then what are you trying to tell the working class?
Dialogue is one part of it, but then the ultimate is to reach or arrive at a consensus.
Exactly.
And once you've implemented it from finance, there's a saying that you either drink deep or you taste not the parent spring. You drink deep or you taste not the parent spring. If you're not ready to drink deep, then taste not the parent spring. That is what they've done. They have tasted the parent spring at a Ministry of Finance. Now they don't want to drink deep. So you cannot choose the group of people to favor in this particular regard.
All right. So we want to find out how this nationwide strike by CLOGSAG is actually impacting, businesses. And so wherever you're watching us from, you can engage us by, sending us a WhatsApp message via WhatsApp number 050-050-0421, 050-050-0421. And I will gladly read them aloud. I have some messages right here, and this one is from Esther J. She's from Tema. She says, interesting conversation. I love your outfit. Educative discussions. And I'm talking about our outfit. We were sponsored by Amal Smokes. And you can contact him on 054-644-0830. 054-644-0830. And so, as we are explaining, CLOGSAG's strike is in full force, and then even here at the ministries, we can actually feel it because most offices have been locked, and there are a lot of complaints. When you go onto the social media platform, you see people complaining about the fact that they go to various government ministries, they go to various offices and agencies trying to engage them to get something for their everyday activities, and only for them to see that the office is locked, and so. They are pleading that, government should, sit down with CLOGSAG and, attend to them. All that they are looking for as, salary structure. Just, government should. We know that government is capable. We are pleading that you ensure that you adhere to their needs so that the ordinary Ghanaian out there would not be the one to suffer for this. And then to our last conversation today, it has been the talk of the town. The Constitutional Review committee, in their final report, they proposed that the Controller and Accountants General's Department be made an independent, body like the Electoral Commission, the Attorney General. Currently, the Controller and Accountants General Department is under the auspices of the Ministry of Finance, and we know the mandate of the Controller and Accountant General. It takes care of, it pays salaries, it keeps financial records, it spends money on behalf of government. And so what the Constitutional Review committee is proposing is that because the Controller and Accountant General Department falls under the executive arm of government, it's sort of not independent. It is not void of political control because it has been controlled by the Ministry of Finance. The Controller and Accountant General report directly to the Ministry of Finance. And so they are proposing that there should be an amendment to Article 178 of the Constitution, thereby giving the Controller and Accountant General, and they should make it independent. It should stand alone like what we have with the Electoral Commission. And this CLOGSAG has vehemently disagreed with that, bringing out some recommendations and reasons why they think that the Controller and Accountants General Department shouldn't be an independent body. Right here, my co-host Nana Yawasari will give us the reasons why, CLOGSAG is saying that the Controller and Accountant General's Department shouldn't be made, independent. And then we'll get into the Constitution as well. But I want you to know that the president, appoints the Controller Accountant General based on the advice of the Ministry of Finance, and there's no constitutional support. And so the president can either choose whenever a president is being, voted into power, he or she can either choose to maintain the Controller and Accountant General or, select another one. And so what the committee of the Constitutional Review is saying is that there should be, some form of constitutional backing, and that the president should actually appoint the Controller and Accountant General based on the advice of the Council of State. And this is what, Clocksack is also saying, that they have exception to that. But before I move on to Nanaya, there's a video on that. Let's take a look at it.
We object to the CRC proposal that the Council of State shall recruit, vet, and make binding nominations to the President for appointment of the head of civil service, with the assistance of the Public Services Commission. We recommend removing the special appointment arrangement under Article 193(1) concerning the head of civil service, which requires the President to appoint the head of civil service acting specifically on the advice of the Public Services Commission, and aligning this appointment with the general framework under Article 195 governing public service appointments. For clarity, Article 195(1) of the Constitution states that subject to the provision of this Constitution, the power to appoint persons to hold or to act in an office in the public service shall vest in the President, acting in accordance with the advice of the Governing Council of the service concerned, given in consultation with the Public Services Commission. If the intent of the constitutional reform is to depoliticize the public services, enhance professionalism, and promote meritocracy in the appointment of a head of civil service, then we propose amendment to the Article 195 for the Constitution that should read as follows. Subject to the provision of this Constitution, the power to appoint persons to hold or act in an office in the public service shall vest in the President, acting in accordance with the binding nominations of the Governing Council of the service concerned, given in consultation with the Public Service Commission. 4. Phase election of MMDCs. Proposals to phase the election of metropolitan, municipal, and district chief executives based on district's economic viability, population size, or other geographic criteria. Conditioning the exercise to a democratic right on such thresholds undermines the principle of universal suffrage, which requires that all citizens enjoy equal political rights regardless to where they live. Democratic participation should not be tied to physical strength, democratic scale, or administrative classification, since doing so would effectively create unequal levels of citizenship. And
looking at the Controller and Accountant General's Department, one may ask, what exactly is their core function? And also, after budgetary approvals have been made, after payment approvals have been made by the Ministry of Finance, it is now the turn of the Ministry of Finance to now direct its department, that's the Controller and Accountant General's Department, now to ensure payments. And so the Controller and Accountant General's Department, at the end of the day, is an implementing agency or arm of the Ministry of Finance that ensures that payments is done for budgetary approvals or financial approvals that have been authorized by the Ministry of Finance. So once you now go ahead to make this an independent agency, it introduces another hurdle of bureaucracy. The question then is, why should it be an independent agency? The Constitutional Review Committee did not give a justification. That is one issue. They didn't give any justification as to why the Controller and Accountant General's Department should be made an independent agency. In our analysis and in reviews, we saw that if you look at Kenya, for instance, they have made their Controller of Budget an independent agency. So it seemed to us that the committee, that's the Constitutional Review Committee, just borrowed what is happening in Kenya without giving us a justification as to how this is going to ensure prudent financial management in Ghana. And we think that it could rather actually lead to delays when it comes to processing of staff salaries, when it comes to now processing of payments, if you make this an independent agency. And so if there are any other reasons, or if there are any reasons why the committee thinks that this is going to enhance efficient and prudent public financial management, certainly we are open for discussions. But we didn't find any in the committee's report. And once again, if you look at what is has happened in Kenya, it has not actually prevented Kenya, for instance, from now entering into public financial debt crisis of over $80 billion and then implementing about 3 IMF programs. So if we are going to review the constitution and implement some innovative mechanisms, there should be strong reasons that this really will enhance efficiency, it will really enhance prudent financial management, but that has not been done. So we believe.
And that's the concerns raised by CLOCSAG. And you heard from the Executive Secretary of CLOCSAG, Dr. Isaac Bampoado, and the CLOCSAG's Constitutional Review Chairman, his name I usually forget.
Secretary.
That's
Dr.
Daniel Appiah. You know, so Dr. Isaac Bampoado cited Article 195 and Article 197. I would like to read what exactly is there. So, subject to the provisions, that is Article 195, subject to the provisions of the Constitution, the power to appoint persons to hold or to act in an office in the public services shall vest in the President, acting in accordance with the advice of the Governing Council of the service concerned, given in consultation with the Public Services Commission. And when you check the clause 2, the President may, subject to such conditions as lie, may think fit, delegate some of his functions under this article by directions in writing to the Governing Council concerned or to a committee of the Council or to any member of the Governing Council or to any public officer. And then when you look at the Article 197, it says that the Public Services Commission may, subject to the approval of the President, make regulations by constitutional instrument for the effective and efficient performance of its functions under the Constitution or any other law. And so you watching us right now, we want to engage you. We want to know what you think. Do you think that the Comptroller and Accountants General's departments be made, independent? If yes, what are your reasons? And if no, what are your reasons? And before I go to Nana, Ajebia would want to say something. What do you think about this whole proposal and what CLOCSAG is also saying?
Right. So one interesting aspect of this issue is that it touches on, both governance, which is labor relations, and then institutional reforms. Mm-hmm. On the other hand, workers are demanding fairness in their conditions of service. On the other hand, the country is discussing structural reforms in financial governance. Mm-hmm. In my view, I would say that the most important thing, again, I would say is dialogue. Okay. So labor disputes and institutional reforms require continuous engagement between the stakeholders to ensure both workers' welfare and stability of the public institutions, like I said earlier. So if this should work, the stakeholders should come together with the financial institutions so they can talk things out.
Yeah, that's true. That's on the strike aspect. Now, the constitutional review aspect. Now, let's look at this particular thing. There are a plethora of issues that were raised, and you read one of the 197. Article 197 of the Constitution brings about a lot of issues, which ties the hands of the Public Services Commission. So now, when you read it once again, it will tell you that the Public Services Commission may, and because of that word may. The may doesn't make it compulsory for them to establish the statute. It says may. But then you realize that when it comes to public services, there's no document, there's no codified document to look at the performance standards, to look at, there's an HR manual, but the HR manual is not a constitutionally mandated document for them to use. So that again leaves them prone to non-compliance of some of these things. So if it should be changed from may to shall, then it says that it's a mandatory. It's mandatory for how do you call it? That is the Public Services Commission to establish legal statutes passed by Parliament to make sure that there's a binding codified document which talks about codes of conduct. How to employ, how to dismiss, and all of that in the civil service. Right now, It's just being run by Public Services Commission's HR manual. That is on the one part from the Article 197 that you read. But now we go to Article 195, which you read once again, and then it begs the question that who actually has the power to appoint? On the one part, it says that the power to appoint is vested in the president. So the president has the power to appoint. Now, who is he appointing? He's appointing based on the advice given by the governing council of that particular institution. Now, when we talk about the governing council of that particular institution, now, let's say that you are employing for the civil service. What is the governing council of the civil service? The governing council of the civil service is the Civil Service Council. Now, when you go to when you go to the judicial service, the governing council for the judicial service is the Judicial Council. All these are public service institutions. So now, if you want to appoint someone to act in this particular capacity as head of service, which falls within the civil service. Now, you remember that the civil service is a policy formulation arm. Remember that the civil service is supposed to remain neutral, anonymous, and then it's supposed to be continuous. It's supposed to be permanent. So now, with these three things that you've talked about, the civil service, why would you now go and take the appointment of the civil service and give that power to be vested in, to vet, to nominate, to vet, and to appoint in the hands of the president? But then the vetting and the nomination is by the Council of State. Now, the Council of State, as we know, may have a political inclination. The president, based on how close he is to certain factions and certain people in community, when he comes, you constitute a Council of State and may have a political inclination.
So now, before you continue, let us emphasize that currently the appointment, the president actually appoints the Controller and Accountant General based on the advice from the Ministry of Finance. And what the Constitutional Review Committee is proposing is that power should be, so the president is going to appoint the Controller and Accountant General, but based on the advice of the Council of State. So now that's where I was even building up to. So now you're employing someone in a civil service position. Now, the Article 195, if you can read them once again, it says that the power to appoint is vested in the president, acting in consultation with the governing council of the institution which is concerned. Exactly. Now, in consultation with the Public Services Commission. So now, what is the governing council of the Controller and Accountants General? The Controller and Accountant General is the Controller and Accountant General's department. Is a department under Ministry of Finance. So it falls within the square mandate of the civil service. Exactly. So if you are looking to appoint someone within that particular frame, you look at the governing council of the civil service and then you consult them, and then they tell you that, okay, we know the statutes of the civil service. The Council of State, where is the institutional memory of the civil service in the Council of State? Exactly.
Who knows how to promote, how to appoint within the Council of State? How many of them are in there?
All right. So that is where Clocksack is actually preaching merit-based appointment.
So merit-based appointment is supposed to be based on the advice of the Council of the Civil Service Council, in consultation with the Public Service Commission, so that Article 195 will then be enforced. Exactly. So that is on the appointment of the Controller and Accountant General. But then when it comes to the Controller and Accountant General being a separate body, when they say a separate body, that means they are trying to say that if it's separate in its functions from the Ministry of Finance, it is going to report to Parliament on its own. Exactly. Imagine that you have set up an organization, and you, as the head of the organization, now maybe any of the state-owned corporations that we have, like SNIT. Imagine that HR of SNIT is going to report to to Parliament on their own, without passing through, without going through the head of HR, without reporting to the CEO or the executives of SNIT. That is how the thing is going to play out now. Now, if we expose the purse handling aspect of governance to parliamentarians, to politicians who are voted in power, then they are going to turn the purse handling power of the government into politics. That is one aspect. Now, when it comes to the Controller and Accountants General's department, They are policy implementers. Remember that we said earlier when we mentioned the ministries, what they do. Ministries are policy formulators. They formulate policies. So the Ministry of Finance cannot formulate a policy and implement it on its own. It has to have an implementing agency. So we have GIFMIS, we have other implementing agencies. And one of the implementing agencies under the Ministry of Finance is a department within it which falls squarely within its core functions and mandates, which is the Controller and Accountant General's Department. So if I am a department under Ministry of Finance and I implement the policies that has been formed, I control the consolidated fund and all that. Why then do you want me to go and report independently of the Ministry of Finance? It is the Ministry of Finance that gives me instruction for me to implement. So now, if they are giving me the instruction for me to implement, who am I supposed to report to? I'm supposed to report back to them. Rather, you are trying to say that I should be independent of the one that is giving me the instruction. So that if there is accountability, who is going to be held accountable? Now, we talked about the case of Kenya. When we said Kenya underwent a constitutional review in 2009. In 2010, it was passed. What Kenya calls as controller of budget is synonymous to what Ghana we call controller and accountant general. So Kenya has a controller of budget. They have a controller of accounts. So the controller of budget is synonymous to what we call controller and accountant general in Ghana. Now, when you look at the provisions by the Constitutional Review Committee, they have lifted verbatim what was in Kenya's constitutional review and placed it in the recommendation that they have. You can actually go and read it yourself from the constitutional review documents that they have. They didn't change even a single word. They lifted it from Kenya's constitution and placed it within. Now, if you lift it and it has given good returns, it has given good remarks, fine. We would all agree and say it is something that is good, we should follow. But when you look at Kenya right now, James, when you look at Kenya right now, and the number of IMF programs that they are under, because their pairs handling or the control of budget, their pairs handling agency has now been made independent and they can function on its own based on recommendations from Parliament. Now the pairs handling agency has borrowed so much and is in debt in excess of 80 billion United States dollars. Ghana, we are crying that we are in debt. We have one IMF program and see what it has. That came even as a result of the COVID. And see where we are. We are crying and then sobbing that IMF. We said we were not going to go to IMF again. Kenya since 2010, just 2010, are having 3 IMF programs that are running. 3 different IMF programs. We have one and we are crying. And this same step that Kenya took and led them to getting the 3 IMF programs, borrowing excessively, that is the same step that the Constitutional Review Committee has lifted and placed in our constitution that we should follow. If we should follow that same step, then the political class, the parliamentarians, can sit there and pass a bill that this particular thing should be changed. Controller should be given this thing mandate to do, because there's no linear relationship between who the controller is reporting to, because the controller is now going to report to Parliament. And if it's reporting to Parliament and not the Ministry of Finance, then you realize that and
where they are supposed to work hand in hand.
Yeah, exactly.
So
for stronger institutions.
So when Ministry of Finance gives controller the instruction or the to implement, what then are they going to say? Because right now they are reporting to someone else. They have a different reporting arm. So all these things have to be factored in. If Kenya had gone through and then Kenya's economy is now boosting, is growing, and then we could see signs of it. But whenever politicians come together, someone said this, whenever politicians come together and they agree on something, that means it is dangerous. If both minority and majority come and say that this one is nothing, let us do it, then it is dangerous. If they tell you to look left, you look right. This time around, they are telling us that we should leave the controller like how Kenya has been left. I think it is spelling doom if you do that.
Exactly. And so when you take a look at the mandates of the Controller Accountant General currently, they play a major role when it comes to fiscal, discipline, fiscal discipline. They ensure that we don't spend, we don't exceed the amount of revenue we are generating.
Yeah.
And so if the finance ministry says, oh, pay this amount, they ensure that.
Even that always we run into deficits whenever the government budgets are read. It was when this particular government has come in that we are not seeing deficits of so much. But you realize that it is not the same way as we thought it would be.
And so if you're watching us, you can actually find that report. If you have the Constitutional Review Committee's final report, you can actually find it where we have the withdrawal from public funds, commitment controlled by Controller and Accountant General. The committee processes amendment to the Constitution, specifically Article 178, to provide that. And it states that there shall be a Controller and Accountant General who shall be appointed by the President, acting in accordance with the advice of the Council of State to hold office for a single non-renewable 8-year term or until age 65, whichever comes first. The appointment structure involving the Council of State in the advice process is intended to give the office a degree of insulation from direct executive control, which implies a push towards greater independence compared to the current setup. Now, let's take a look at the tenure of office. Currently, we don't have any constitutional backing, the number of years, a controller and accountant general can be in office. That is done based on the discretion of the president.
So the controller and accountant general, usually because there is no tenure to it, let me tell you the reason why. Because it's seen as one of the apex places that you can get to in a bureaucratic position within the civil service. So by the time you should get there, you have less than the tenure of office that is being mentioned there to retirement. But now what they are doing is that, if you look at this particular constitutional review document, what they are doing is that within all the tenure of offices that they are proposing, what they are saying is we are going to change the retirement age and push it to 65. So 65 years of age is what they are saying that the new retirement age will be. Now, looking at that's also another discussion on its own. I'll not even talk about that. But the reason why that is there, or the provision is in that case, before you get there, you should be around 55, 56. You should be well vexed within the controller policies and manuals, and you pass through the ranks and get there. That should be the apex. But what we are seeing is that institutional memory is often lost, because when they are rising through the ranks and all that, and then Council of State now is coming to elect someone that they know should be a controller. They are not going to elect within the civil service, because their knowledge of the civil service alone is limited. But if you talk about the council, the governing council of the civil service, they are the governing council of the civil service. They are within the civil service, and they should be the ones to choose who should actually go. So when it comes to the tenure of office, I'm sure the reason being that, and the civil service alone in itself has its codes of conduct and all that, which spells out the tenure of office is until retirement. So until retirement, 60, but now it is being pushed to 65, and that's why they brought a single term of 8 years. Now, if you put someone there for 8 years and then the person is not performing well, and the single term, say single term of 8 years, and the person is not performing well, what then do you do to correct that? Because the person is there for 8 years. I know that I'm there for 8 years by hook or crook. So it's something.
So you think it should be looked at?
It should be looked at once again. The constitutional review documents, there are different and diverse areas that needs to be looked at. Now, even when you look at these things, they talk about. They said in their opening statement, that's the Constitutional Review Committee's opening statement. They mentioned that they are using a problem-solving approach. Mind you, the word is problem-solving approach. So that means where there is a problem within Ghana's constitutional setup, they are going to mention it, and then they are going to bring about the solving of that particular problem. Now, with this controller issue that they are talking about, I've read through the document, not once, not twice, the whole constitutional review document. Now, with this amendment that they are talking about, they never once mentioned a problem that they want to cure with this. So then it begs, what is the motive behind it? is it someone that is sponsoring this particular thing to be put in the constitution? It has to be looked at.
And so if you're watching us, we are having an interesting conversation right here. What do you think? Do you think that the Controller and Accountant General's department should remain under the auspices or under the control of the Ministry of Finance? Or you think that it should be made an independent body? We've had, discussions about the take on ClockSack and what the Constitutional Review Committee is saying. We also want to hear from you, and so you can send us a WhatsApp message via our WhatsApp number that has been displayed on your screen. You can also call in as well to tell us what you think about this very topic. And so, Ajebia, let me ask, so what do you think what can the, Ministry of Finance, or what can the country actually do to, strengthen what we call the fiscal policy and what have you, so that we don't even create another, bureaucratic, organization or something? What do you think?
Right.
That we can do to strengthen it?
As Nanaya rightfully said, public financial management relies heavily on the coordination between policymakers and, the implementing agencies. So any reform in that structure must ensure the efficiency and accountability are being strengthened rather than weakened. Do you get it? So if you are picking, from Kenya, just look at Kenya's economy right now. Is it going to benefit us as a country or not? So it really has to be looked at. Otherwise, we must fall as a country, and that's not what we want. Do you get it?
Exactly. Yeah. And our time is fast spent, and so I'd like to take your final comments. So,
well, when you look at this particular document that they are talking about, another interesting point of it is the decentralization of the voting of MMDCs. Remember that we talked about that. Now, what the Constitutional Review Committee is recommending is that they do the voting in phases. Areas or places that are economically viable, they will hold their elections and do that. Areas that are not economically viable, leaders will be elected for them. Now, you think about this and you realize that democracy is being undermined. Every time we are voting, we vote based on universal suffrage. When we say universal suffrage, it means that everyone at the age of at the voting age is supposed to vote and exercise their franchise. So universal suffrage is that we are all going to suffer at someone's wrong decision. Yeah. So that is why we all come together and we vote, or we are all going to benefit from someone's correct decision. That's why we carry, and we say majority carries the vote. So now, in this particular case, they are saying that the principle of universal suffrage is not going to be used. Universal suffrage means whether your class, if you're of voting age, irrespective of your class, your economic status, irrespective of where you live, irrespective of your geographic or the demographic situation, once you meet the voting age and you're of a sound mind, then you should be able to vote. So that is the principle of universal suffrage. Now that is where democracy has stood on, and that is where we are all voting from. Okay. Now, if you say that we cannot vote based on universal suffrage, and then you are going to these areas that are rich, let's say Ayawaso West Wogon, it covers East Legon, it covers some part of Airport West, it covers some part of Jowlu, it covers some part of Newtown, not even Newtown, Roman Ridge, and these areas. I think they're economically viable things over there, so they will vote. But when it comes to other areas, Panchinikoji salt, or some of these areas that then, because they are not economically viable, then they are not going to vote. Then you are underpinning the principles of democracy, which this country has stood for and fought for since time immemorial. It's something that has to be looked at once again. Right. I'll end with that as my closing statement.
Thank you very much. Najibia, do you have something?
Nanayao has summarized everything for us, so let's go.
All right, so this has been the online and print paper review right here on Koko Digest, right here on Clock TV. Thank you for staying with that. We know you've learned a lot, right from the word of the day and the three unsung women who actually contributed their quota to the development of this country, and Also, we also learned about, clock sags, strike and the intensity of it, and also the Constitutional Review Committee's report. It has been an interactive, conversation right here, and we would like to acknowledge our sponsor for our beautiful fugu right here. You can contact him on 054644 0830, 054644 0830. His Amal Smokes. Contact him and get yours at an affordable price. Thank you so much.
I'm sure he's watching us, and we want to appreciate him for this fugu, because everyone needs a fugu in their wardrobe. So right from here, I'm going to hang it in my wardrobe and I'll use it too. So this is not Wednesday we wear fugu. Exactly. So yes, I've got mine that I'm going to wear. Mouse Smokes, as you can see on your screens. You can contact them by calling 054 644 0830. That's a Mouse Smokes, 054 644 0830. And they'll clad you beautifully as they've cladded us today. In Nigeria, your dress is really colorful.
I know, right?
It's really
like I said earlier, I feel big. I don't know. I feel like a big woman.
It's the spirit that comes with it.
Look, when I see myself on the screen and the way it's covered, it's like royalty.
Yeah.
And that's a Mouse Smokes for you. 054 grab yours.
Yes, thank you very much to Amal Smokes. And then I'm just a reminder that we are going to continue this very conversation, God willing, on Thursday, the Constitutional Review, Committee's report. Thank you for staying with us. And I actually did this with my able co-host Nanaya Asari and Na Ajibia. I am Kojo Nsia. Up next is the business segment. Please stay with us. Hello there, good morning to you and welcome. This is the Business Update segment on the Koko Digest Morning Show. I am your host, Koko Nsia. Now to our stories. The Bank of Ghana's latest auction accepted 6.14 billion Ghana cedis out of 10.76 billion Ghana cedis in bids, exceeding 5.67 billion Ghana cedis target and marking 15 consecutive weeks of oversubscription. Demand was strongest for the 91-day bill. Yields fell across all tenors, signaling improved liquidity and investor confidence. The net auction target is 8.13 billion Ghana cedis.
The Bank of Ghana's latest Treasury bill auction saw strong investor appetite. Bids totaled 10.76 billion Ghana cedis, with 6.14 billion Ghana cedis accepted, beating the 5.67 billion Ghana cedis goal and extending oversubscription to 15 weeks. Short-term paper-led demand, 91-day bids reached 5.21 billion Ghana cedis, with 3.47 billion Ghana cedis accepted. 182-day bids reached 1.96 billion Ghana cedis, with 946.44 million Ghana cedis accepted. And 364-day bids reached 3.60 billion Ghana cedis, with 1.72 billion Ghana cedis accepted. Yields eased across all tenors, 91-day at 4.82% and 182-day at 6.30% and 364-day at 9.34%, reflecting improved liquidity and confidence, especially in shorter maturities. The government has set a target of 8.13 billion Ghana cedis for the next auction.
Now, away from Treasury, economist Dr. Adu Owusu-Sarkodie has warned that Ghana's heavy reliance on imports makes the country vulnerable if tensions in the Middle East escalate and persist. Speaking on the issue, he noted that although rising global tensions could push up crude oil prices, potentially benefiting oil exporting Ghana, the country's deep import dependence remains a structural weakness. Higher international oil prices could increase Ghana's export revenue without a corresponding rise in production.
Sarkodie suggests using any additional income to cushion vulnerable groups from price shocks. He recommends targeted support for commercial transport operators, such as fuel coupons, to mitigate immediate impacts. Although Ghana has not yet felt significant economic effects from the Middle East tensions, he cautions that a prolonged conflict similar to the Russian-Ukraine war would worsen conditions. Sarkodie also urged expanding local production in sectors like poultry and sugar to reduce import dependence and strengthen economic resilience as the economy continues its transition.
And on to our last story, cocoa prices surged in 2024 but later collapsed following a large global harvest and weaker demand, leaving farmers in Ghana and Ivory Coast struggling. State regulators in both countries had guaranteed high prices last year, but international buyers are now unwilling to pay those rates. This has created an estimated $3 billion shortfall for Ghana's cocoa board, while Ivory Coast faces piles of unsold cocoa beans.
Many farmers, an estimated 800,000 in Ghana alone, have not been paid for months, intensifying rural hardship. Delayed income has prevented medical care and threatened livelihoods. Governments are responding. Cocoa board cuts its guaranteed price from about $5,300 to $3,500 per ton, and officials accepted pay cuts. Ivory Coast have its farmer price to spare sales. Both countries plan to process more cocoa domestically to capture greater value. Farmers warn reduced prices won't cover rising inputs and labor costs and call for delayed payment to be prioritized. The crisis highlights structural problems in West Africa's cocoa sector despite its global importance.
And that wraps up the Business Update segment right here on the Koko Digest Morning Show. Thank you for staying with us. I am your host, Peter Kojo Nsia. Kojo Nsia because of the Ghana month. Up next, is the lifestyle segment with Na Ajibia. Please stay with us.
Show. My name is Bevelyn Anobo Ejeria, and today on Lifestyle segment, we join the rest of the world to, celebrating International Women's Day, a day dedicated to recognizing and celebrating the achievements, resilience, and invaluable contributions of women in our society and across the globe. Now, women have played remarkable roles in shaping families, communities, businesses, and even the entire nations. Now, over the years, we have witnessed women break barriers, challenge stereotypes, and rise into spaces that were, once largely dominated by men. However, while today certainly a moment of celebration is also a moment of reflection, and according to the United Nations, it is. Let me quote them. They say that it is 2026 and yet no country in the world has fully achieved gender equality. I would like to take that statement again. It is 2026 and yet no country in the world has fully achieved gender equality. In fact, experts suggest that at the current pace of progress, it could take hundreds of years for women and girls to enjoy the same rights and protections as men. Now, this statistics reminds us that although remarkable progress has been made over the years, the journey toward true equality is still far away. It's still far from over. And here in Ghana and across the world, women continue to break barriers in leadership, business, education, governance, and many other fields. Yet, surrounding representation, opportunity, and recognition still remain. So this morning, we are asking, some very important questions. How far have women really come? What challenges still exist, and what more needs to be done to ensure that the next generation of women and girls inherit a more equal and inclusive world? This morning, we will be having, a very engaging conversation about women's growth, empowerment, and the journey from where women used to be and then where women are today. And to help us explore this important discussion, I'm joined by two incredible women who are significant impact in their respective fields. First, we have Mrs. Vicky Amwa, who is an actor, a musician, and the team lead for Reveal Impact Initiative. We are also joined the studios by Mrs. Priscilla M. Wellington, an actor and the CEO of Customer Service Africa. Ladies, you're welcome to the show.
Thank you.
It's good to see you.
Likewise. Good to see you too.
I was really looking forward to seeing Miss Anna today, but I couldn't see her the other time. She was here the other time, and I was looking forward to see her join you, but she's not here with us.
We'll represent her.
Right. So this morning we are celebrating women on our show today. But before that, we would like to know a little about you and then what you do. Can we start with Miss Vicky? Or who should go first?
I'm fine. I can go.
Right.
So I'm Vicky Amwa, and I think you mentioned it. I'm an author. I am a media personality. I lead Reveal Impact Initiative. It is an NGO that is into educational and community impact. So we handle children, parents, and the entire community. We organize book-related events, basically education for it. I'm married with 2 children. I think that will suffice, right? Yeah. So that's it.
I'm Priscilla M. Wellington. I'm also an author of the Customer Service Devotional. I operate as a lead trainer at Customer Service Africa. We empower organizations to become customer-centric and build cultures that grow the business and also serve their customers well. I also convene for the International Customer Service Summit that happens every October. And we also lead a national campaign on educating the public on the importance of attitude. So customer service,
right, customer service, So one thing in your intro, like one thing which dominated was you being an actor. I would like to know, was it your purpose, or would I say What inspired it, or what inspired you to be an actor?
I believe that we all have gifts. For me, it stems from my father opening us up to reading very early. And so that's why we have a book club for children.
Right.
But loving books, coming to experience firsthand what people have written in books have inspired me over the years. Now, books are so powerful. It sort of puts you in different fields, different imaginations. For instance, if you're reading a book, a scientific book, it gives you certain enzymes. It gives you an opportunity to see things you haven't seen before. If you are reading a book on history, like you've done a lot of research, so we've seen the set and everything here. Yeah, it puts you in the places you haven't been before. It also gives you a glimpse of the lives of people. And I think that's what really has inspired some of us to write. I never thought I would ever write. I just knew that somehow I enjoy scribbling.
Right.
But to write about 4 books now has been an amazing journey. Yeah.
We'll talk about that. But let's come to Miss Wellington.
Well, for me, what inspired me is being the hospitality industry and finding a gap there on how poorly we're doing with customers or with guest experience, and having a strong faith background. You know, the most important thing for us is the Bible. And for someone who is championing customer service all across Africa, I was wondering, why don't we have a book that is like a devotional, a daily book that tells you how to treat your customers even before they come, and a conversation that lives beyond you, not just within your environment. And if you are in an environment of inspiring authors, you want to become an author. So that's how I got inspired.
I get that. So, you know, in every journey, there are challenges across. So what are some of the challenges that you face in the field? Let me start with Ms. Wellington.
Challenges within my specific industry, or
your specific industry.
So in the hospitality space, I would say that the challenge in that space is not having a clear path as to where you're going. And I'm speaking for those that are still there. But it's actually a beautiful journey in that space. You come in irrespective of where you're starting from. You have a clear picture of where you want to get to. The challenge is where you're starting from. Do they have the right structure for you to be able to climb up? So knowing that, okay, I'm here. If I excel, if I exceed in the expectations that the organization have given me, and I'm here for a certain number of years, I could move to this place and that place. And that is the beauty of the journey. However, when you know the journey, but you are in a space where you can't grow, it becomes very frustrating and it becomes very... So that's one of the challenges that I have identified within our space.
Right. So do you think there are spaces that doesn't really, you know, help the journey? Because we've seen situations where young people, especially young girls, grow up in certain environments, and it doesn't help them to, you know, get the right training and be on the right course.
Do you want me to answer that? Or?
I think it's for you.
It's a follow-up question to you.
Okay.
So
one of the things that I've identified is a lack of self-awareness, even as young girls. Right. If you are self-aware, irrespective of where you find yourself, I always say that dream beyond your status quo. So it doesn't matter whether I'm coming from the slums or I'm coming from a place that, you know, is not worthy. My self-awareness, my knowing my values, my strength gives me that picture of where I want to be. And so when young girls or even women in general are not self-aware of what they have, who they are, it short-circuited them from fully operating in their capacity. So I believe that self-aware will be one of the challenges that hinders girls from progressing or hinders women in general from, getting to the peak of their dream or where they really want to get to.
Yeah, that's very true. Now, Miss Vicky, has there been a time, you and Atta, and also in the media space as well, I'm very interested in that. I'm very interested in that. Has there been a time where you ever doubted yourself, like in the course of the journey or the process? Have there been situations like that? And how did they make you feel?
I think that we are all work in progress, and we have to establish that. Nobody is perfect in themselves.
Okay.
And I want to pick it from where Priscilla ended. You need to be self-aware. Who am I? What is my purpose? Why am I here? And what contributions can I make? And that's what the celebration of the International Women's Day, it's all about. Reflection on, how far women have come, what is there to achieve again, and to celebrate the milestones that we have, chalked over the years. So yes, at some point you are uncertain about the levels, especially when you're climbing.
Yeah.
And in a space where women are not supposed to be in certain positions, you are fine here as a presenter. But in certain fields, you can't, and that's why I love what Priscilla and her organization is doing, championing customer service, because females are the face most of the time, the front faces of businesses and organizations and all of that. So for me, I have had those moments, but I had to just pick myself up because the Lord says that I am able to achieve anything with Him. And I'm speaking from a Christian's perspective. That's what the Word of God tells me. And so in the space of that, yes, the Word of God is my anchor. And then also a support system. And that's what I think most women lack. And so sometimes we are afraid to go the extra mile because you're not even sure if Priscilla is going to push you up, the ladder. And
that actually leads us to our next question. People say when women support women, they do incredible things. But how is the support been like? Because how has the support been? We've seen instances, and she just came yesterday. Me, I've been here for so many years. Who does she think she is? What do you know? Like such things like that, and you just, it just pushes you back or sets you back. Yeah.
I believe times have changed, and we are still growing and evolving. I'm partnering with Priscilla on the Women Redefined Conference. Okay. Yes, she's bringing on board her expertise with customer service. And then, of course, my team is organizing in terms of the person who is, whose book it is that we have turned into a conference, Reverend Anthony Selam Jajwa. And so, there are instances where there's friction. But once there is one focus, one belief that this is what we want to achieve as a people, as two organizations coming together to ensure that this impact is done. But I think it's also human nature. Sometimes you don't want people to bypass you. You don't want them to shine more than you. Yeah. It's an innate thing. Yeah. And so, but once you come to the point where you understand that we are from two different worlds, but we come together with our expertise and work out something. Yeah, it works perfectly.
Yeah. Right. So, Ms. Wellington, you are the CEO for Customer Service Ghana. And we would like to know, leadership comes with a kind of pressure. And can you share a moment where you had to make, a very tough decision as a leader?
Leadership. I'm always excited about leadership, especially from my perspective, talking as a customer-centric leader. Right. When you are a customer-centric leader, before you take every decision, you are thinking about the end, the person that's going to benefit from that decision, or the end result of that decision? Who is it going to impact, and how is it going to impact them? I've had someone in my team who's been very supportive, who's been there, but every now and then they have an issue with how things are run and how things, why we're not doing like this, why we're not doing that. As a visionary, I know where I want us to get to. Right. It's clear, but I cannot please everyone. I don't want to be a nice boss. I want to be an impactful boss. Right. And so it comes to a point where you have to make a decision between the future of the business and the impact of one action on everybody. And it's not an easy, but then when you look at the long term of that decision as a leader, and it's for a greater good, then yeah, we can take care of the moment of the negative impact and march on or forge forward with the positive aspect of that decision. So there's been many situations where I have to rise above to protect my team, to protect myself, or bear the consequences whilst my team look okay. So as a leader, you have to always think of your staff. When I say your staff, I'm talking about the customers in terms of internal and external, because for me, whatever decision I make based on my industry and my expertise, I'm always looking at how does my audience benefit from this? Will they get value? And how are they going to be impacted by this value?
Right. So we rightfully heard from Miss Wellington, and she's saying that even with her decisions, she has to think about her staff. And you can join the conversation. You can send in your comments as well. We are live on VOTV channel 184, and this is the lifestyle segment. Right. Let me come back to Miss Wellington. How do you balance, work-life balance or your social life to, occupying or managing as a leader in this role?
Okay, I will pick from Vicky's word that we are work in progress, because sincerely, I don't think that as of now women we have a balance. We've been able to balance it, and that's where the support system, having that great support, is important. I'm a mother. I have 3 kids. I run a business. I've been privileged to partner with Vicky. There are other things. I also had Director of Tourism for the Voice of Africa. So there are so many things that I'm doing. I also have to champion the cause of Christ as a woman of faith. So it's a work in progress. And daily, I always lean onto the Holy Spirit for strength. So when we talk about balance, you need great support. You have to be able to delegate, like know the people that can do. Don't micromanage. In my few years of being in the space, I realized that it's easy for us to micromanage. Do it. So when you don't delegate, you do more. And when you don't delegate you don't give people around you to explore their own talents. Right. Because we learn faster from failure. And I remember that when I joined a course on Stanford, the first thing every professor for that semester told us is fail, and fail quickly. And so it is a mantra I use. Anybody that joins my team, I tell them, please fail. Can you fail quickly so that we move on from there? Because the fear of failing actually keeps you from not exploring your talent to be able to give your best. And so for balancing, I genuinely believe that we're still work in process every day. Delegate what you can delegate. Ask for help when you need it, so that you can put your expertise or you can let your strength shine. But when you want to do everything so that you be this fine boss woman, you crash. So we are a work in progress.
So, Miss Vicky, right? You do a lot of things. You're a singer. Hey, you don't have voice. So I don't know if you have something coming up, like a song or something. Maybe you want to hear your voice. James, don't you want to hear? Madam. Yeah.
Okay, so what do you want to hear?
The song.
My personal song?
Yeah.
Okay, so I released a single in October last year. It came together with my third book,
right,
which is also titled Do It With Me, Lord. And this talks about surrender and absolute reliance on God. And especially for women in this season, you cannot do it alone. Priscilla talked about delegating. She also spoke about having a support system. She talked about not letting go and, of course, micromanaging people. And that's what it is. If you don't have an actual dependence on God, if you don't have a source where you draw energy from, it's very difficult for you to go on.
There always has to be a source.
There has to be a source. Right. There has to be a source. And one other thing is for you to prioritize. I prioritize God above all else. For us women, we need to look at that. For God, family, and every other thing. So this song says, do it with me, Lord. I can't walk alone. Be my strength, my song, my hope. Just do it with me, Lord. Take my hand, lead me on. Come what may, I will trust in you. Do it with me, Lord. Yes, do it with me. Let's end it there.
Such a melodious voice.
So soothing,
I was actually carried away. Wow. Powerful song, powerful voice. But then, Miss Vicky, would like to know, how do you juggle? You know, women do a lot of things, especially when it comes to the family. You know, we, back then, when men were dominated, you know, in terms of leadership, politics, and what have you. Even there are some people, women, you know, there's this saying that behind every successful man there's a woman. There were so many women that actually, you know, even fought for our independence and everything. But look at us today. How often do we even celebrate them or bring them to the spotlight? You know, some are even gone, like dead and gone. But how often do we even celebrate them?
Right.
And looking at the role women play when it comes to society, family, church, work, school. How do you do it? How do you juggle? Like, there are some. I happen to take a course at Unimark IJ, and sometimes I see older women. You know, probably they have kids. Some are pregnant. They have responsibilities, and I ask myself, how do you do all of this? How do you juggle? I'm in school. I'm young. I'm also working, but what about the one that is pregnant, has the responsibility of taking care of other children, and then plus school, plus other? How do you do it?
I believe that God has made women unique in the sense that we multitask. We are so gifted to do many things at different times. And so there's it shouldn't be too surprising to you when you see a woman doing many other things. She's pregnant, she has some other younger ones. She'll cook, she'll do all of that. She can go to work and come. And it's to give your man or your husband or any man any of these roles, they might not be able to juggle. But it's in it. God has blessed us with that. But for us to be able to balance it such that, and Priscilla talked about it, there's no fine line. We haven't been able to achieve that yet. But there is a way for you to give every aspect of your life that needed attention. And that is prioritization. That's what I mentioned earlier. Prioritize what is important most at this time. So I gave you a lineup a few minutes ago. For me, it's God. He is my source. He is my foundation. Then comes my family, so my husband and my children. So that's the priority. There were times where I have to tell somebody to sit in my show on Sunny FM or Sunny TV so I can handle something at home. Delegation. So that you don't end up shouldering everything and come crashing down. I think Priscilla mentioned about 4 other things, but I would mention also a time for rest and rejuvenation, because we can be on the pendulum. I mean, we can just keep going and not take time for ourselves. Self-care will also help you. You take some time off to rejuvenate. You come back more fired up. The next thing I'll also say is never stop learning, like you were saying. Yeah. I mean, the world is evolving. Fields are changing. Her field is changing. Yeah. My field is changing. And so I'm not sure this is the way you used to present 2 years ago, because things have changed.
It's actually 1 year.
Okay, 1 year. You know, but say a few weeks, a few months ago.
I've been doing this for like a month.
Nice. And I know that from today you're going to learn something different.
Yes,
and tomorrow will be better.
Yes,
and so
exactly.
it's a process. And you have to keep learning your field, whatever area you find yourself. Because as women, we have to shine. We have to stand out.
Yeah.
How do you stand out? How do you up your game? By leveling up. And so read around. If there's a course you can afford, save up, go take it up, so you can indeed be extraordinary in whichever field. But no matter what, God is our help. The grace of God is sufficient for whatever it is that we have to do.
Right. Let's pick one question for Ms. Wellington. So women in business often face gender biases, okay? How have you navigated this, and what systematic changes do you think is very necessary to help women advance, especially in your field, or maybe at large?
I will start by saying that as a woman, always have the mindset of collaboration.
Okay.
And any room or any table that you're offered, have that first self-belief that you belong in that room and you belong in that space.
Right.
Because I've come to realize that whenever you're in a place of competition is good. However, when you have this mindset of competition, as soon as I enter here, I am not focused on leveling up. I'm focusing on outshining Vicky. But in doing that, it doesn't let me really showcase what needs to be showcased. So yeah, there are rooms where there will always be biases, especially with the men. Now that, like Vicky mentioned, the world is evolving. There are women that are working, they are mothers, they are taking leadership roles, they are in ministerial roles, they are leading companies, they are taking care of the family in everything that we used to see as a man's field. Now, as a woman, there will always be bias, but I want you to know that every time you're faced with that challenge, have a stance of collaboration. Walk into a room full of men who are biased with the intention of collaborating them, because that's you believing and seeing that everybody has something to give. Even that person that doesn't like you has something that could make your work better, more impactful, more beautiful. So I've faced a lot of biases where, especially known as a power smile ambassador, when you smile a lot and you are in a space of customer service, all they see is, receptionist, front desk, front line person. But I've gone beyond that. Vicky says self-improvement. For me, value for my client is value for me. So adding value to myself, learning, self-improvement, continuous learning is value for, and every place I walk, I believe that I belong there. And now that you are in the room, how do you make that impact? How do you shine? I always say that don't go to the palace looking like a peasant. So whilst you're waiting for that opportunity, whilst even you are in that space of bias, how are you leveling up? How are you, so that when the moment of truth, there's something in customer service, we say moment of truth. When that moment of truth comes up, how will you show up?
So I'd like you to, educate us when that moment of truth. Take us there.
Moment of truth is when you promise the customer, you tell the customer, you do A, B, and C. But when it's time, you don't show up. It's like we overpromise and under-deliver when it should be in reverse. You should actually under-promise and over-deliver. So when you ask us to get here at a certain time, you don't know the effort we put in to be able to hear that moment of truth. How do you show up to honor that thing that has been, placed on you, or it's a matter of integrity. So always be careful, even in your excitement. I'm a very excited person.
Yeah, you look exciting.
Even in my excitement, I'm listening to myself that don't share, don't say something out of excitement. Say something that when the moment of truth comes up, you can always level up.
I'm touched. Right. So, Miss Vicky, let's talk about mentorship, especially when it comes to mentoring like the younger ones for future development. Right. How does mentorship, help to build the girl child? Because I personally have seen, a lot of mentorship programs, institutions, and there are sometimes the people organizations, they organize programs, and after the mentorship, let's say it's for 3 days, after the mentorship, you met young people, or they've walked up to Miss Vicky, I like you, I like your speech, does it end there, or it builds up after that?
This must be a very personal question. So mentorship, I'm excited about mentorship, and that's because I have a personal mentorship program. I run for musicians, I run for women in ministry, I run even for authors. I do PR for authors, once right from scratch, in terms of you conceiving the idea, how do I start the writing process? When I'm done with the whole publishing series, what else is there? How do I market this book? And that's why the Woman Redefine Conference is coming up.
We'll talk about that right after this.
Yes, somebody's book has been turned into a conference, and that's what we specialize in. Mentorship is key because nobody can survive in an island. You cannot do it alone.
You cannot live in isolation.
Nope, you just can't. And even at this stage, where we are at, I'm still enrolling in finding people that I can say, hey, teach me this or that, because there's no end to learning. If, for instance, this scenario you gave me, we were done with a particular program, somebody walks up to me, I see it as a great blessing to pour out. Because Priscilla, we are in a certain Kingdom Sisters Association, sort of, and our decision is that we are dying empty. Do you get it? There's no point of me having a gift that I cannot pour out or share with somebody and allow that person to even outdo what I've been able to achieve in life. It's not worth it. I must be able to help somebody become whatever they want to become. And so mentorship is key. It's just that we have seen a few issues when it comes to mentorship. Some people are, as it were, overused. I don't know if I should use that word.
Exploited.
Yes, overexploited. Vicky, I want you to coach me. The next minute you are picking up the children from school, or you are paying too much for a particular service, even though, of course, there's pro bono kind of mentorship, and helping somebody become the best they can be. And so that, for instance, stops people. But I always say to young people, identify by the help of the Holy Spirit, because it's not everybody that can mentor you. So
That's
identify the person by the help of the Holy Spirit that, hey, Vicky can do this for me. In which area do you want the mentorship? Because it's a complete person. So your family life, your emotional state, your mental health, your social life, even how you communicate. You see, Priscilla does it perfectly as she's there speaking. I don't feel like even talking because she's good at that. Do you get it? So in terms of poise, in terms of presentation, delivering. See, so there are aspects of you that you need people to help you with. So identify that, walk to that person, be genuine about it. And for us mentors, we have to also learn to tell our mentees as it is, be vulnerable with them. These are the mistakes, and this is how I surmounted. This is how you can overcome. This is where you can get to.
Because my issue is that I see, you know, we only see the brighter side. We only see the perfection. But behind the scenes, you don't know what goes on. You don't know the mistakes, the difficulties, the challenges. You only see the perfection. I happened to post like a post of mine on social media. And a friend of me, she's quite older. And she said, Beverly, you did a mistake in this, your presentation. Why did you post it? And I told her, I gave her the explanation that, we are not perfect. Like you said, work in progress. Yeah. So people need to see. People need to see the mistakes, the bad, everything. People need to see it. So I would like to know about woman redefined conference.
Yes. Gigi.
Take us away.
So, would you want to start off?
I'll start.
So I'm sure there's a clip we can watch.
Sure. Producer, if they can, showcase the video.
I'm Reverend Dr. Mrs. Edem Soko, Executive Director and HR Lead at Dion and Noyd International. I'm also a Reverend Minister at the Lord's Pentecostal Church International. Oh, what a blessing to be part of Woman Redefined Conference 2026. This year, the theme is on healing, empowerment, and purpose. And I am honored to take a session that will focus on purpose, calling, and marketplace influence. You don't want to miss this. Join us and other women leaders and facilitators at the Wesley Towers from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Saturday, March 14th. See you there.
Mrs. Vicky requested that we take a look at the graphic, the one that goes for 2 minutes video.
And a few
seconds. Let's have a look at it, then we get right into the conversation. Is there sound on this?
Yes, on that one. It's 2 minutes.
Is there sound? Sound, Melissa. From the organization. So now we'll come back to Ms. Vicky. So she takes us through what the program is about.
Right. So you just saw Reverend Dr. Mrs. Edem Soko. Right. She is one of the speakers for this year's Women Redefined Conference. So this conference is based on Reverend Anthony Selom Jadro's book titled The Woman Redefined. And this is sort of revealing the gem. When I'm talking about Woman Redefined, I get so excited because it sort of unwraps what God's original identity of the subject woman is. And out of that also has come the Woman Redefined Devotional.
Okay.
And so we do this every year. This is our second edition. And what we do is to bring women from all fields together. Women in industry, women in entrepreneurship, women in ministry, even single ladies, young people also attend. And we are hoping to help them, reorient them, help them understand what the woman is, what their purpose is, what the positioning is. And this year, the theme is healing, empowerment, and purpose. Healing, because we see a lot of women go through a lot. Most of them are not able to voice it out, and they don't know how to deal with the issues around their lives. Family, career, ministry, all of that. And then empowerment, because we want to, like Beverly, I see that you are a woman who is on a mission. And so what we want to do is to equip you with the tools that you need to be able to achieve the purpose for which God has brought you. I'm sure we'll talk about the other details with time, but it's happening this very Saturday, the 14th of March, 8 a.m. It's going to be a whole day affair. We have breakout sessions, actually about 5 breakout sessions for marketplace influence, for women in ministry, for pastors' wives, also for single ladies, for married people. It's a mixture of all of that. And we would have tea break, we'll have great lunch, and lots of connections.
Coming.
And then, you have to.
We'll be happy
you have
to see you.
Yes, Priscilla, you want to add on, I'm sure.
The last aspect is the purpose. You made us talk a bit about mentorship. There are a lot of women, young and old, who are still yet to find their purpose. So like you said, some women have even lost their purpose through hurt. So as they're going through healing, they realign with their purpose and they are empowered to enforce that purpose. So it's a time, if you're married, single, divorced, woman in business, pastor's wife, a woman leader, this is the conference that you have to be at. Woman Redefined. Come and understand yourself as a woman from God's perspective so that you can champion your cause, the purpose for which God brought you. Do it empowering, and not just empowering yourself, but empowering others. And yes, working in purpose.
So we would like to, is it free?
No.
Is it free? We would like to know.
It's not free, but we're completely sold out. We're expecting 500 women. We've gone even a little over that. And so we're completely sold out.
Is there any arrangement for people that cannot make the conference personally? They can maybe watch online or something.
A virtual session. You can call.
That one is not free.
We can call 0257 226632 for more details on that.
Okay, we'd like to mention the number again. Just
0257 66223. I'm missing it. 0257 226632. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So we would like to have your final words. If there's no birthday segment, we'd like to have your final words.
So I'm inviting all women out there. If you're a woman who want to understand your purpose, know your purpose, if you're a woman who've gone through brokenness and you desire to be healed, if you're a woman who want to be empowered as a mother, as a wife, as a business leader, as a young woman, find your purpose. This is the summit to be, or the conference to be, Woman Redefined. And as Beverly and us talked about the women celebrating International Women's Day, you want to be at this event to truly know the purpose that God has for you so that you can function in your true authenticity and be that light that God made you to be as a woman.
Right. Do you have anything to say?
Yes, I want to get the number right. 0257 2266.
I think you can look into the camera.
32. Which of them? This one?
Yeah.
So it's 0257 226632. And I would like to mention some of the speakers because I mentioned only one speaker. We have keynote speakers, Reverend Mrs. Rosemond Anaba, Vice President, Eastwood Anaba Ministries, and Engineer Patricia Obonai, Chief Executive Officer of Telecel Ghana. And then we have Reverend Mrs. Catherine Onyojo Kit. She is Mama Kathy, pre- and post-marital coach, family life practitioner. We also have Reverend Mrs. Akweli Lai. She is the head of retail banking, First National Bank, Ghana. Reverend Dr. Mrs. Edem Sopo. She is an executive director and lead HR consultant, Dion and Nude International. Pastor Mrs. Hannah Abraham Sapia, certified counselor and author. And finally, Reverend Mrs. Justine Jadra. She is the acting director, mining department, EPA. And our conference host is Reverend Anthony Selam Jadra. I want to say a big thank you to Jospon Group, Telecel Ghana for holding us down, and for you, Beverly and Clock TV, for having us.
You're welcome.
As well as Sunny FM,
Thank you so
Sunny
much.
TV.
It's been, a very great conversation. I've learned a lot. I've picked so many things. I would like to see you personally after the show. And we'd like to take the birthday segment. And then we have just one celebrant. We'd like to have it celebrate them.
Was your birthday?
And this is from Andy Dusty to Haji Kamara, and it says that happy birthday to a great boss, father, and husband. May this year bring you success, good health, and happiness. And personally, I'd also like to wish my friend Juliet Ifia Nyako of Lijay Looks. She's the PRO. I'd like to say thank you so much, Juliet. A happy birthday to you as well. I pray that may this year or this new chapter bring you, more success, more opportunities as well. And as we celebrate women's conversation today, reminds us that the story of women is one of courage, resilience, and continuous progress. From boardrooms to creative spaces, from homes to global platforms, women continue to speak and break barriers, challenge limitations, and redefine what is possible. But beyond the celebration, today also, calls for action to support, uplift, create opportunities for the next generation of women and girls who are watching and dreaming as well. So, because when women rise, families rise. When communities rise, nations rise as well. So my sincere appreciation to guests again, Mrs. Vicky Amwa and Mrs. Priscilla M. Wellington for sharing their inspiring journeys and insight with us this morning. And to every woman watching us today, your voice matters. I just want you to know that your voice matters. Your dreams are valid. And your impact is so powerful. And also, I'd like to give a shout out to Amal Smokes for gracing us with this beautiful, colorful kente cloth. You can contact them on 0546440830 for this amazing fugu. They are located at Ministries Taxi Rank at Valco Drive, right adjacent to CLOSAC headquarters. Just ask of Mr. Shaib whenever you get to the taxi rank, and he's going to sort you out. My name, once again, is Bevan Ejebia Annabelle, and this has been Lifestyle Segment on the Koko Digest Morning Show. Stay inspired, stay empowered, and keep believing in the power of your story. Do enjoy the rest of our programs.